Welcome back to the NFL Trades Podcast, and this is episode 3. We have already reached episode 3 already. It's going quick. Dom is not here. He was here for the weekend. We went, partying during the weekend, so had some fun there. But now we're going to talk about the games that happened on Sunday. Had some heaters here. We had Jacksonville, Atlanta. Atlanta's offense just struggling. What I saw is Arthur Smith refusing to find ways to actually use all of his weapons that he has at his disposal. Right now, it's just get the ball to Bijan Robinson and go from there. Because we saw that man is a stud, and all the hype that he's been getting is warranted, right? I mean, he was getting top 5 running back nods before he came into the league, and he was expected that. I mean, we saw in the fantasy draft, we've seen multiple people claiming that he's Hall of Fame talented, so, I mean, they talked about it. They're like, we got to find ways. The Falcons organization got to find ways to get the other guys the ball. Because, they could just hand the ball off to Bijan, throw it to him in the backfield, let him do all the work. But at the end of the day, they got to spread the ball out. And that's what's going to come to. I mean, they were like, oh, Kyle Pitts, he'll be fine next year. They'll be able to use him. No. Drake London, they were using him very extensively last year, finding ways to hit him the ball as a rookie. He played a big portion with Calvin Ridley in suspension. He played a pretty much number 1 receiver ball next to Zacchaeus, who's now in Philadelphia. But it's like, are we going to figure stuff out here? This offense is pitiful. Compare it to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the sense that it's just not. I mean, the play calling is a little bit better, but it's going to come down to the scheming, and it's going to come down to how you utilize your weapons correctly. And as we saw with 1 touchdown, the Falcons failed to do that. And I don't know if Desmond Ritter's your guy. I truly don't. We kind of saw last year, nothing was very promising last year, but we came into this year thinking, oh, okay, he's got some NFL games under his belt. He's going to come into the season with some experience, and he's going to develop. Unfortunately, we haven't seen any of that. Now, I mean, they were 2-0, so you're winning, so, no one's complaining. But at the same time, it's not like they have won against any prominent powerhouses, juggernauts, whatever you want to call these better teams. They have not beat any of those teams yet. So we'll have to see how the Falcons go as the year, and how they flow as the year goes on. But as of right now, we saw lack of offense, and it sucks because this Falcons defense has improved when it has been one of the worst, defensive units, in the past couple of years. And again, I'm going to reiterate probably all season, but those off-season additions proved to be useful and kind of paramount to their success here, as they have won 2 games. They won 2 games in the first 2 weeks, which wasn't expected at all. They were not expected to go 2-0 right away. I mean, people can see that this team will win the division, that it can happen, but I don't know. This NFC South, a lot of these teams that weren't expected to do good right off the bat did pretty good, and then now we're seeing the real, what we thought was going to happen to these teams. Like, they're crumbling like we thought they would, but they didn't do it early on. But now we're actually getting to see what we expected. No one had NFC South teams that high in their power rankings. And now it's like, well, they had 2-2-0 teams to begin, and the Saints were 1-1. I mean, Panthers is a different story. They're 0-4 now, so I mean, that's a whole different thing. I mean, they're figuring stuff out, and they've played pretty good opponents, but no one really, and it's like I was talking about the other time, is no one expected the Rams or Cardinals to start out the way they did. The Texans, those three teams, no one expected that. No one expected. Now, could we have expected their records? Yeah, that's definitely, like, we definitely saw that these teams can win games, but at the level at which they're doing so was not expected whatsoever. So I think, now going to Jacksonville didn't play the best game despite winning 23-7. Their defense wasn't anything too amazing, but they held up, and that's what mattered in this game. And still, the Jaguars' offense still a little slow. Still, I mean, that one drive with the Calvin Ridley touchdown, that's when they started to get their flow going, and we saw it somewhat throughout the game, but it was still a struggle, and it was still, like, not what you wanted to see from this squad. But the takeaways, that's crucial. They failed at doing that against the Texans. They never intercepted C.J. Stroud. They never got a sack or pressure really at all against C.J. Stroud. And to see them get a couple of takeaways, I believe it was 2 picks, I can't remember. But to see them get a couple of takeaways here in the next week was crucial. But a good game for London, because Jacksonville, the team that's played there 10 times apparently, the second team has only played there 4. So I was right. Jacksonville is the team of London. And I think Jacksonville winning this game was actually kind of nice because they're the team of London. They will be the team of London for a while now. Going on to the next game, the Dolphins-Bills. We said this would be a very tight match, but unfortunately for the Dolphins, it got away from them. I feel like ever since Teron Armstead got injured, I feel like that's when the game started to get away from him, because Tua hadn't been pressured at all, really, the first 3 weeks. And now your top tackle on the left side, Tua's blind side, is now gone and out of the game again. Now, it is true that he did not play one of those first 3 games, but I can't remember what game he played or what game he didn't play in. It might have been last week. It might have been week 2, I believe. But Tua was still not getting pressured that often. But now with Teron Armstead out, and they had to slide Liam Eichenberg, and I can't remember who they put in for Teron, but it was bad. Like, it was really bad. I think Tua got pressured 14 times, something like that, and that just was not the case for him first couple weeks. And now they just kind of they couldn't do what they were used to doing in this Mike McDaniel's offense because they were getting pressured very often. And then the Bills' offense could not be stopped. And we saw kind of glimpses of the Dolphins' defense struggling, and Vic Fangio just kind of not being able to rally these guys together and scheme up proper. I mean, he's an incredible play caller, and we'll give him the credit where it's due. But I understand corner play was very lackworthy, and Kader Kahu was getting destroyed by Stephon Diggs on the outside almost every play. Stephon Diggs probably had something like 3 touchdowns. But it really will come down to, for this Dolphins defense, because their D-line play is good, but it will come down to how good their their outside play is and their safety play. I mean, they have guys. Kader Kahu was not a bad third corner to have in this Dolphins defense, but man, was he getting burnt and killed almost every dang play against Stephon on Sunday. We'll have to see. That's going to be my phrase of this podcast is we'll have to see, because it literally, truly is still week 4, and I felt like this week was as much of an anomaly as week 1 was. You might agree with me, you might not, but I truly feel like this week was different and special, and just a lot of things happened that kind of weren't expected fully, but like a lot of things were expected that happened. Like, we'll get to the Sunday night game, which just blew my mind, honestly. All of it, everything. Next game, the Vikings-Panthers. Didn't expect the Vikings offense to struggle early here in this one, as they really were turning the ball over a lot again. And it's just kind of been this constant theme in this offense that they're just turning the ball off way too much, turning the ball over way too much. I can't say much about the Panthers. I know Bryce Young played just kind of how he's been playing. And there just wasn't any good receiver play. I can't tell you how good Miles Sanders played. But the Vikings defense is going to be, if they're playing good, they're going to win. If they're playing bad, they're going to lose. This Viking offense can light up whenever. I mean, if they need it, they need it. But we did see them struggle early on, which we didn't expect, because this Panthers defense was lacking some personnel. And for them to struggle that early and then also turn the ball over at the same time was very frightening, considering that is their, highlight of the team is the Vikings offense, and how Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson connection, and they have KJ Osborne and Jordan Addison, and they have they have some weapons. I mean, the running back situation, they'll have to figure that one out, and they'll have to see if Cam Akers is the guy. Clearly, they're not happy with Madison. I want to see Dwayne McBride play, bro. I don't think he will. I think he's somewhere in the 3rd or 4th slot on that team, but I would love to see Dwayne McBride play, because a lot of these rookie running backs have been playing phenomenal. Devon Achane, Tajay Spears is getting some snaps and getting some action in there with Derrick Henry. Now they went back to Derrick Henry. We'll get to that. But these running backs have just been playing incredible. Jahmyr Gibbs, every time he's on the field, is electric. Problem is, this Lions team doesn't still know how they want to use him in this offense, especially when they got someone like Montgomery, who is just running through people. Him and Swift, man, they've been just dominating, and it's kind of like they're reviving their careers in a sense, and it's kind of sick to see. But Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, you draft this guy super high, and now you're not utilizing him really like any other team would utilize a first-round running back. And it amazes me how they were so excited to get this guy, and they're not getting him touches right away. Like, they're getting him touches, obviously. I mean, you wouldn't draft a guy in the first round and then not give him any snaps that year. But they still don't know what the most efficient and impactful way at which they can place him in this offense. And maybe that's something Ben Johnson has to figure out. And maybe that comes throughout the season. And maybe they're kind of saving his legs for playoffs. And someone did say that because they know. They're 3-1. They beat, it's kind of been like this. Like, they tried putting him in a lot in that Chiefs game. But when they beat the Chiefs, and, the Travis Kelce wasn't there, Chris Jones wasn't there, whatever. But when they beat the Chiefs, that gave him some confidence. Like, hey, we can play with any team in this league. So we're gonna keep Jahmyr Gibbs good for playoffs, and we're not gonna force him down, force him into the game, play every down, like they are with Montgomery right now. But I kind of went off track, and we talked about Bijan already. But the idea is all these rookie running backs are playing so good, and yet I want to see Dwayne McBride play for the Vikings. I want to see if he has that juice that Madison and maybe even Cam Akers is lacking. We haven't seen Cam. I don't think Cam Akers played on Sunday. I don't really know if Cam Akers played on Sunday, but yeah, I mean it's gonna come down to if Vikings offense can be there, and they pretty much saved their playoff spot. Like if they lose that game, they're not making the playoffs. They're not making the playoffs at all. It's not happening. So I can't see. I want to see if he actually played. Okay, he saw touches in week 4. Okay, I didn't even see him on the field really. How many snaps did he get? Anyway, that's gonna be their concern here. Okay, he got a 78.7 PFF grade, so that's not bad, especially for your first start with the team. That's not bad because you're learning the offense. You're learning how this. Madison got a lower grade, so I guess that's good for Akers. Maybe Akers is this guy because it really came down to Sean McVay and Akers. Just it wasn't working for them. Just like Jared Goff and Sean McVay wasn't working. And then we see Jared Goff go to the Lions, and he's thriving in a Ben Johnson offense with a electric coach that can make you run through a wall in Dan Campbell. This is what Jared Goff needed to thrive, and it's not no shade to Sean McVay, because we're watching Sean McVay make a team like a practice squad team look like a decent NFL team. Like they're 2-2. They're 2-2, and everyone expected them to be bottom of the barrel because all they have is Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford. Cooper Kupp's not even in yet. He's not even playing. They got guys like Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams stepping up, and a lot of guys on the defense that low end names, people that if you're not a Rams fan, you're really not going to probably know them, and they're stepping up. So I mean, same thing could be with Cam Akers. He could literally turn out to be what the Vikings need, and it could make their offense more holistic here down the stretch. Denver, Chicago. I did say this game would be actually fun to watch. Did I know that the Bears? I can't remember. I can't remember if this actually happened, but I think they blew a 28-3 lead. I thought it was 28-3. No. It was 28-7. That's what it was. 28-7. Going into the third quarter, you're thinking, okay, well, the Broncos offense has struggled in the second half. And a lot of that has been credited to Russell Wilson because, Russell Wilson has always been known as a second half quarterback, and he's not playing like that. So it's like, okay, if we're struggling in the second half, that's all on Russell Wilson. Now, I'd like to argue that it is not. And I'd like to argue that he played very well in the second half of this game and showed, okay, well, the offense could be good in this half, but it's probably going to struggle in the other half. Unfortunately, that's not, or for them, that's not what they want. They don't want that. That is, and as a Steelers fan, I've seen that where the Steelers really, they just, out of the gate, it's rough. Every game, it's like, okay, why is it the second half and we have nothing? We have nothing to prove that we are a good offense. And then second half, they're like, oh yeah, this is how we play. Well, this is like it's like they're warming up, and the first half's just a warm up. And then if they do get in the first half, they're going to fold in the second half, and that's just how it is. And that's how it is with this Broncos offense. Like it's just they can't keep that consistency, and they either get complacent, which that's what happened what game was that? That's what happened last week. They would have been 1-2, 2-1 had they just played better in the second half. And they could be 3-1 right now had they just played better in the second half. And that's unfortunately, they waited till week 4 where they're on the cusp of not even making the playoffs because only one team has ever made the playoffs that they're starting 0-4, and that was back in the 70s, and that was the Raiders, right? And so the Broncos, if they lost this game, they're out. There's just no – and now, the Bears, they're into the Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison sweepstakes. They have the first and second overall picks right now, right? And as much as, like, no teams are tanking. Nothing's happened here. They realize where they're at. They had a lot of fiascos happen. Their quarterback has shown he's shown that he can make plays. He can, do stuff with his feet. He can make some quality throws and even, and he has his good plays, but is he going to win you a football game? And maybe he just can't. I mean, they were up 28-7, and everyone's like, "Wow, guess what? Vance Joseph, he played like that defensive showing against the Dolphins was horrible, and everyone was like, fire Vance Joseph, and then he makes Justin Fields out to be like, oh my gosh, Justin Fields is this great quarterback all of a sudden. And that's how he was playing in the first half. And then second half rolls around, nothing. I mean, they did score the touchdown early in the third quarter to put them up 28-7, which, okay, yeah. You continue your prowess into the second half. That's amazing because, like I said, a lot of these teams, they'll play good one half, come out of the locker room, all of a sudden it's like a new team, right? And so to score a touchdown and show, oh, yeah, we're still going, we're not stopping, was amazing. But they did stop. After that touchdown, nothing. Literally nothing. And they couldn't score, nothing was, they can't. I don't know if they have a game over 30 points yet. So, and neither do the Steelers. But you're always going to hear me talking crap about the Steelers, especially if they play like how they did against the Texans. And we'll get to that. It might be the next game. I don't know if it is, but it might be the next game that I'm talking about here. But, yeah, I mean, we kind of called that this game would kind of go down the wire. Did we know that one team would be destroying the other and then all of a sudden they come back and win? Not really, but with how these two teams have been playing, anything could have happened in that game, and we wouldn't really have been surprised. I don't think anyone's surprised that the Broncos, like, oh my gosh, they came back 28-7. No one's saying that because it's just like, it was kind of like, oh wow, you came back against the Bears defense, who clearly, Matt Eberflus, he might be that defensive mind, but man, like, it just, he was calling plays because they had no Allen Williams. So I guess he's never, like, really, like, been in that situation where he's up 28-7, and all he has to do is just kind of, like, prevent these explosive plays from this Broncos team and just kind of, like, run the ball. Like, and that was the thing. Like, the running game just hasn't been there for the Bears. I mean, Khalil Herbert did do well. I will say that Khalil Herbert had a top 10 fantasy week for him. So top 10 stats here from Khalil Herbert, but overall the run game just hasn't been where they want it to be. And it's a shame because they should have won that game. But the Broncos, decided, hey, we didn't play that good in the first half. Let's play good in the second half now because we're a one-half team. And that's going to be the thing for the Broncos. And even Sean Payton after the game was just not even happy. He was disappointed in some of the aspects that they struggled in that game. And he kind of like, he was like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We beat the Bears. And he's like, no shame to what Matt Eberflus and the guys are doing over there, but yeah, we kind of just like sucked against one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst team in the league. But I digress. We're gonna move on to Baltimore and Cleveland. This was the shocker for me. I did not believe the Browns defense had been playing lights out, being the best, in my opinion, the best defense in the league. And now for me, that kind of changes. I still think the 49ers probably have the best defense in the league. And I just don't know. Now, I did call out in the last podcast. I did say DTR might do good here. But I think it's his first NFL game. The Ravens defense isn't sweet. They ain't soft. Like they're a good defense, so it's not like, it's not like it was a cakewalk for him, but it's new. It was new for him, new offense, new all this. Like he had to get adjusted to it. He hadn't ever played with any of those guys, so the only time he played with them was the practice before, and I don't even know if he got all the number 1 snaps that he needed for this game, but I think he has a chance. I don't know. I think Deshaun will be back next week, but DTR might get another chance here coming up in the next couple weeks. Baltimore, on the other hand, did play a great game, I believe. For them to play that good against this defense, and then their defense to also hold the Browns to a couple points. They contained Amari Cooper. And that's kind of all they needed to do to win this game, to be honest, was to contain Amari Cooper. And the fact that they were able to hold him to, like, I believe it was like 1 or 2 catches for 20 yards or something like that. Like, the fact they were able to hold him to that amount, like, is incredible. And that was literally what they needed to do, to stop this offense and then do a little bit on their offense. And that's kind of what they did. And Lamar did his thing. So that's all that kind of matters. Not much to say about that game because it does suck that the Browns kind of struggled there. But at the end of the day, that is a divisional game. Anything can happen. Browns will probably bounce back next week. And Ravens, man, they're looking pretty good. Looking good. Probably going to win this division, honestly, if they keep going like this. Bengals, oh my gosh. They could be at the bottom of this division for all I care. Them and the Steelers are just kind of like irritating me at this point. Browns, I mean, I can't say they're irritating me because I feel like that kind of was expected, especially from a 6th-round draft pick. I know he played good in the preseason, but so did Kenny Pickett, all right? So did Kenny Pickett and the whole Steelers offense. They played like Matt Canada was actually a good coordinator. So I don't want to hear none of this preseason talk. But I like DTR. I think he has a good shot. I just think yesterday wasn't it for him, and he didn't have the best surrounding pieces for him anyways. But we'll move on to the Steelers-Texans game, and yes, I'm going to be a biased Steelers fan and say that this is BS. This game irritated the crap out of me. Why is Matt Canada still the offensive coordinator? I don't know. This culture that they have just has been what they've been about for years, in which they just don't like to just randomly be like, okay, we're done with you. We see that you can't even do this correctly. We're done with you. And I guess, even Art Rooney wanted to, which is the Steelers owner, he wanted to just budge in, hey, I get you guys have this culture here, but at what point are we going to be like, okay, this guy needs to go. He needs to get out of here. And now, historically, offense coordinators coming in at the mid-year, it never works. But what I was talking about yesterday with someone is I would just like to see someone else calling plays. Like, I want to see something. I want to see our offense with somebody else calling the plays. That's literally it. I don't care if it doesn't work. I don't care if we lose games doing it. I just want to see more creative plays and less predictability. I want to see these guys have options, and they they have openness. Like they have more chances in the open field to make a defender miss or burn someone on a route, or I just want to see that, and I don't get to when we're doing literally nothing creative, nothing unpredictable. It is just insane how locked they feel, how just like pace-wise slowed down this offense is. It is just so hard to watch. And anyone that isn't a Steelers fan doesn't want to watch that because it is so boring. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Like, yeah, it's cool to watch good defense, but at what point are we like, this is like ridiculous? 3 and out almost every dang time because you can't be creative or get rid of your unpredictability. Like, just like do something that's not predictable. And then that doesn't mean, oh, let's do a jet sweep on 3rd down. That's not what that means. That means try that stuff 1st down. Oh, wait, you can't because you can't get one. So the only time you're going to be able to try things is on your 1st snap of the possession or drive. So it does suck. And the Steelers' defense, not as good as I thought. They have been bearing injuries, and that does suck. But this passing defense is just still as rough as it's been for years. We really haven't had a top corner to lock down a side of the field. And I guess JPJ is trying to be that guy. He's had some good PFF grades. Hey, he's had some good games where they just can't throw the ball his side. But Patrick Peterson is that aggressive player that's just going to ball hawk. And he's one of the best ball hawks of all time. Problem is, they just let way too many explosive plays happen because of that. And that's just kind of how Steelers defense always has been. And it's kind of why Omar was like, let's get this veteran, older player who's known as a ball hawk and known as an aggressive defender, and let's get him in this defense that's already aggressive. So let's go full in instead of like trying to go half and half. Let's go all in this aggressive play style, and it's just not working, especially in the passing game. Now, when your D-line for the Steelers game, and someone brought this up, when your D-line isn't playing good, if you're the Steelers defense, you are going to get smoked. And what happened? They got 30 points put on them by a rookie QB with an offensive line that is all young and inexperienced. And I could talk ages about the Steelers, but I'm going to refrain from doing that. But I could do a whole podcast talking about why the Steelers this team isn't working out. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to save some time for other teams. But to conclude my rant, because that's what this is coming down to. Steelers need to get a new play caller. They need to get probably another lineman in the draft. And they need to, and I don't like Colin Cowherd saying we should trade everybody just to get Caleb Williams. I don't know, because now we're going to be dealing with Mitchell Trubisky, and probably Mason Rudolph's going to get some snaps here because Mitchell Trubisky's going to do what he always does, and that is just, I don't even want to talk about Trubisky, but and to see that Kenny Pickett's probably going to be out for at least 8 weeks, that's probably what it's going to be. I truly believe he's not out for the season, but it looked pretty bad. So we'll have to see. Texans, man, I'm loving this Texans team so much. They got a new offensive coordinator. Got some PFF background in that. D'Amico Ryans, man, just building a culture that we saw him build in San Francisco. And I feel like that was very paramount to their success, very imperative. You know, they needed that. They needed that. They honestly didn't have a culture with Lovie Smith. And it was time for them to get that culture in there and be like, hey, just because we're all young, we're all inexperienced, we don't have high value names here. We don't have any guys that have just done it for years. Like, there is no veteran presence there. That doesn't mean we can't compete with these teams that already have guys that have proven themselves to be top players in the league. Doesn't mean we can't do that. And we see time and time again, when this line is playing good, this team can actually ball. Like, Nico Collins is proving himself here. And that was not the case. Like, everyone wrote him off, and now he's in this offense where I feel like I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but the OC for Texans, he's free. Bobby. I don't remember his last name, but Bobby's freeing these guys up, and it's awesome to see. Nico Collins is just, it feels like he might as well bet an anytime touchdown for him every week with how he's playing and with how they scheme it up for him. And he's truly probably is the number one on this team, and maybe we'll see more from Tank Dell. And Tank Dell's been, I don't believe he had a decent game here, but he has had some good games this year. But yeah, like, Nico Collins is proven, and CJ Stroud, man, we saw at Ohio State, he really did struggle with the pressure. But when he doesn't have pressure, he plays super good. He still has yet to throw an interception, which I thought Steelers would end that streak. But he has like 1,200 yards or something like that without an interception. So that's cool to see, especially when everyone wrote him off as, he failed his S2, not failed, but he had a low score on the S2 score. So he's gonna throw a lot of interceptions, and he's not gonna make good decisions, not go through his progressions correctly. Everything is not gonna work out for him. He has 0 interceptions. And he was also getting pressured a lot in the first couple games. And yet he still has 0 interceptions. He's making good decisions. He's accurate too. He's showing he has accuracy. And he has it. It's not like Anthony Richardson, where a lot of his game is relying on, okay, I gotta get out of the pocket and run down the field. That really hasn't been what he's been relying on. And Bobby's just freed up stuff for him. I mean, Bobby had some Kyle Shanahan. He's under the Kyle Shanahan tree. So that in itself, I mean, that type of offense has been taking the league by storm. So it's not really too much of a shocker that this offense is operating way better than it has in the last couple of years. And it's just operating. It hasn't operated this good since like Deshaun Watson was there. So it's refreshing to see this, because the Texans have been so bad for so long. But yeah, I mean, as much as I'd love to just hate on the Texans because I'm a biased Steelers fan, this was awesome to see them thrive, especially against a defense that is known for wearing and tearing the opposing offensive line, creating turnovers, whether that be at the defensive in the trenches or whether that be Minkah Fitzpatrick or like some of these corners that play aggressive ball. Like, they were forcing so many turnovers, and they have one of the best turnover margins in the league, which would be better if their offense wasn't rough. But yeah, I mean, like, for them to just not turn the ball over at all and avoid any pressures really says a lot. It really says a lot about where this team is going. Hopefully they stick in this direction, but for them to win against a division rival and then come in here and decimate a team like the Steelers, I mean, yeah, of course their offense isn't good, but to make their defense just kind of look normal, kind of make them look like the defense that the Steelers torched. I don't want to say torched because they really didn't torch them, but we make the Steelers kind of look Steelers defense because it kind of look like the Raiders defense that the Steelers were beating on the week before. So good for them on that in that area. Rams, Indiana, man. I mean, we kind of called this one too, similar to the Bears, Broncos. It was going to be close, very competitive game. Went down to the wire. Man, Puka Nacua, though. Can we talk about Puka Nacua? I mean, him in this Cooper Kupp role has just opened up. And it does that. And I don't think anybody's asked this yet. Because a lot of people don't want to just, like, straight up hate on someone that's, you know, they've done it. Like, they've done it multiple times. But does this kind of say that, like, Cooper Kupp is just, like, a good player in a amazing role? And this role that Sean McVay has given now to Puka while they're waiting for Cooper to come off of IR, is that now, like, saying, like, Cooper Kupp isn't that good of a player? I know that's a hot take, very hot take, but does this kind of speak volumes that Cooper Kupp is not that good of a player, or was Puka just slept on in the scouting process? I mean, we saw Tyler Algier 1,000 yards rushing last year. Same guy, BYU, right? BYU running back, slept on in the draft. And then he has 1,000 yards, like it's nothing, in a Falcons Arthur Smith offense, which I don't want to say like that because that sounds like a negative connotation to it. Because Arthur Smith has worked with guys like Derrick Henry, and you saw what he did with Derrick Henry. I mean, crazy stuff, right? So it makes sense kind of why Algier was able to do that, but at the same time, it's this BYU thing. Like, something about these BYU guys that get slept on, they're just outperforming everybody. And, man, as much as we'd like to say it's only been 4 weeks of his career, we can't assume anything. I'd like to say this guy's an actual, like, a star. I'd like to say it. And it really will come down. Like, it really is a trivial question here. Is Puka just really good? And Cooper Kupp's also really good, and that's just how it is? Or is Sean McVay just that amazing where he can open up this role for these two guys, play in the slot, getting out in the open, don't have to be fast, you don't have to outrun anybody, you just open up, just like get these guys, scheme them open, and they'll just make plays. And it's just, is it Sean McVay or is it these two guys? Like, I couldn't tell you, but it really does make you question. Is it Cooper Kupp or is Puka Nacua also just really good? And they got lucky. They drafted a guy that's similar as good, or not as good as Cooper, but like, or is it just Sean McVay playing chess out here and just dialing up some good or good positional roles for these guys? And it makes you think, how are they going to utilize both of them in this offense? If that's the case, if it's Sean McVay, how is he going to utilize both of these guys in an offense? Is he going to throw Cooper more on the outside? Is he going to throw Puka on the outside? What will he do? I truly don't know what he will do. It's very, like, I've been thinking about this, but no one's really been questioning it. Like, how will these two play together once Cooper comes back? And, you know, maybe Cooper's limited and they use more Puka, use him more because, you know, they're just trying to ease Cooper back into the offense. We'll have to see. But, man, I mean, Kyren Williams has just been playing like the guy we kind of expected. We always wanted to see him play, but Cam Akers was there. Who else? Oh, no. I'm forgetting his name. He had some good games on the Rams offense with them last year, but Kyren was just sitting behind them and didn't really get much snaps at all. We saw a little bit of him last year, but for him to come out and just play like that guy that they need, that guy that Akers just wasn't able to be, is amazing. Like, I feel like Kyren Williams and Puka Nacua are what kind of like lead this team afloat, or keep this team afloat. and they don't get led astray. O-line's been playing better than what they are on paper, and that's what you like to see, especially because last couple of years or last year or the last 2 years, it's just been rough. Ever since Whitworth left after the Super Bowl, just last year, Whitworth it just wasn't what they wanted to be, and for them to play up to par and even better than that is kind of what not up to par, because up to par would have just been mediocre or under that, and for them to play at a level at which they need direly is just what this team needed. They're 2-2, and everyone kind of wrote them off here. They lost Ramsey. They lost a lot of defensive players, man. They lost so much. And, I mean, it's not like their defense is playing amazing, but they're still making plays. I mean, they still, and I can't say the hell Joe Burrow off because, man, this Bengals offense is kind of just, all of a sudden dying out, which I couldn't tell you why. But we'll get into that game. This Rams team's kind of outperforming everybody's kind of initial perceptions. So that's good for them. The Colts, it wasn't like they were playing a bad game. I think when push comes to shove, the Rams just outperformed them. I think that's just what it kind of comes down to. I think Anthony Richardson was doing his thing. The running game wasn't there really. So, they do get JT back next week. I don't know if he's playing. I think he's still holding out, actually. But if they do get JT back, that would be nice. Jonathan Taylor. That would be nice for them. But I don't think he's going to play. I want to see him getting traded. I want to see him get traded and see if he can we know he can flourish in this offense. I want to see if he can flourish somewhere else too. That would be awesome to see. But yeah, the running game wasn't there. Man, I really gotta drink a soda before I come on here or get a coffee or something. I yawned too much throughout the day. And it's not like I didn't get much sleep either. Or it's not like I didn't get any sleep. But yeah, the one nice thing is if the running game's not there, you still have Anthony Richardson and his legs. But at the end of the day, we could say the same about Bills when they didn't have a running game and they just relied on Josh Allen. Things didn't work out in their favor. Maybe I'll have more to say about the Colts next week. I kind of feel bad. It feels like I didn't say much about them, but we'll have to see. It would be nice if I could, not have homework every dang weekend, and I would get it done before I go out partying. But we'll have to see. And there it is again. There's my phrase. But we'll have to see if I can actually get my work done before Sunday, so I can watch the games without distractions. Got 7 minutes left. Let's speed through this. Tampa Bay Saints. Derek Carr came back in for some reason. They just struggled. They didn't have a running game. Alvin Kamara, they did get him the ball. Reception. They did try to throw it to him, but the running game was not there. Buccaneers shut the ball down. They kept going deep threat, and Bucks just kept shutting it down. Raheem Shaheed, nope. Chris Olave, nope. We're not letting that happen. Thanks to Antoine Winfield. They didn't have Jamel Dean. They did not have, my brain. What's my brain doing? Carlton Davis. Did not have him, right? And so you'd think they would have went more short game or more, on the outside, but it just didn't work out for them. They couldn't really. They did get MT a little bit. They did get him going a little bit, but it just nothing was working out for him offensively. And like I said, this Buccaneers defense kind of always has had this Saints offense kind of figured out. But it's always kind of come down to the Saints defense just outplaying the Bucs defense every game. But we didn't see that. And Baker played a good game here. And Michael Evans, man, he's like, screw it, man. I'm in year 10 plus, whatever. I'm just going to ball out. Screw it. And he's playing like a top 10 player here. Chris Godwin had a nice game too. We'll have to see like how these like divisional games end up, because a lot of them are going the other way, man. And this goes on to our next game, which is Commanders-Eagles. They go to overtime here. And like we were talking about on our last podcast, we said the Commanders could easily beat the Eagles here because they have them figured out. They truly have this. So I read something where the Commanders were, obviously, D. Swift has been, doing his thing. And they're like, all right, let's fill up the middle. Let's make sure this man can't just get through any gap he wants. Let's fill up the middle so there's limited gaps and see how it goes. D. Swift, not fully contained, but yeah, they did slow him down a little bit. But man, what did that open up? That opened up Devontae Smith and especially A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, I can't tell you how many snaps Emmanuel Forbes was on with, what's his name? With Michael Evans. Not Michael. I don't know why. A.J. Brown. But, man, I did see A.J. Brown cook up Emmanuel Forbes, and he had him pissed because, Commanders' corners could not contain those two, and Eagles were just able to just make explosive play after explosive play, and that's what brought them back into this game. And, they proved time and time again never to count them out, even when they're down. It was like this Eagles team needed this, by the way. They needed this adversity because when you have a team that never experiences adversity and then they have to play in a playoff game and then they all of a sudden are experiencing that adversity in the playoff game, they're going to fold. They're going to choke. They're going to just all of a sudden let the game fly away, just like the Dolphins did. They faced adversity for the first week, and bam, what happened? They just all of a sudden it was like they couldn't do anything on offense all of a sudden, and then the offensive line playing poor. Tua's getting more pressured, and next thing you know, it's they're now, and it's like whoa. The Dolphins' offense is going 3-and-out this much after the first 6 possessions of the game. No one had punted. Dolphins were the first to punt, and it was the second quarter. The first punt. And all of a sudden, second half rolls around. Oh, punt. And you're like, huh, why? Because these teams, sometimes they face this adversity, and it's just, they can't, go through it and deal with it. And Eagles needed this. And for them to win in overtime, man, Ron Rivera should have probably just went for 2. Because, man, if they win that game, they're 3-1. So they're now tied with the Eagles. But then they beat the Eagles. So then they'd be, actually, I don't know how that worked. They would be a 3-way tie between the Eagles, Cowboys, and Commanders. So I don't know actually who would be leading that division. But besides that, it would have been a statement. You're going for 2 against your division rival to win the game. Ravens did that against the Steelers the one year. I believe it was Steelers undefeated season. And it was a statement, but it didn't go through. And I guess Rivera was kind of fearing that. And he's already, and it's not like he's a Josh McDaniels where he's like getting every head coaching play questioned. It's not like he's Kyle Shanahan where he's praised. But we'll have to see how that works out. Welcome back. So I got rushed out of the podcast room because someone did not reserve their thing. I didn't reserve my thing either, so I can't really talk, but I will make sure I reserve this room for next time so I can say, hey, I reserved this room for this time, from this time to this time. It's my time. you got to look at the reservation sheet and reserve for yourself. But anywho, I didn't even get to the end of the morning slate, or early afternoon, whatever you want to call it, depending on where you live. The Bengals-Titans, which I talked about earlier or in this podcast, I just don't understand what is going on with the Bengals. T. Higgins gets injured pretty early on. Jamar Chase has another game struggling. We thought after week 3 that he would go back to what he was doing last year and in the year before, but it just wasn't. It wasn't. Nothing was working this game, and I thought, oh, for sure, the Bengals going against the worst offensive line in the league, who was getting to the quarterback in the Rams game, their defense was making some good plays, good coverage, some turnovers, and then they won, and they ended up winning that game against a pretty decent Rams team. When they got their first win, and that was pretty good statement because it showed okay, keep going, and then they play the Titans, and this just doesn't work out the way they want it to, and I just don't understand what is going wrong with this offense, because it's not like a lot of things changed from last year or even the year before that. They still have their same wide receivers. They did lose Hayden Hurst, but I can't really tell you if that's really a big problem. Zach Taylor's still there. Their offensive line, very similar. I mean, maybe Lyle Collins is a big loss. But it's not like Joe Burrow is getting an incredible amount of pressure on him. It's coming down to it. Just something is up. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this, because none of it makes any sense to anybody. Why all of a sudden they're struggling after the last 2 years being an offensive juggernaut in this league and going toe-to-toe with Kansas City's offense every year and even beating them in the games, and Bengals defense playing very well, very good against a Chiefs defense or a Chiefs offense. And it really strikes me, because I get it week 1. I get it even week 2. Week 3 it was a bounce back. And then week 4 against the Titans, I'd say the Titans are playing worse than the Rams. I mean, Ryan Tannehill had 1 passing touchdown. But I guess Mike Vrabel got the running game going, and the Bengals just couldn't stop it. And the rest was history, I guess. Because it's not like the passing game in Tennessee on Sunday was amazing, but hey, we'll have to see what they do next week, because if they're not playing good next week, I don't know who they're playing next week. It could be a divisional opponent, but if they play this rough against the Steelers, that will be rough. And I know it's a divisional opponent, so like we said, anything can happen. But man, it's so hard to not talk about the Bengals here, because it really just, we all saw all these teams struggle week 1, even if they won the game, even if they were missing a couple people, but it's not like someone super significant in this offense is gone. Your star players are still there. So what is going on in Cincinnati? I don't know. And I'm not sure anybody in the league knows. So we'll have to find out. Maybe we find out later down the road what is going on. A lot of people like to blame it on Joe Burrow's calf injury. I really don't know. I mean, we saw we saw Baker, who decided to not get surgery because he believed that year they could win. And for the team, he said, I'm going to not get surgery so then I can be on the field, so we can go to the playoffs and all this. and then plays horrible with the torn labrum and ends up getting surgery after the season anyways, and then he's literally hated by the franchise, gets just like absolutely exiled practically, and gets traded to the Panthers for nothing because they just want him out of there when he was playing amazing before that torn labrum. And this calf injury isn't just like, oh, he's done recovering and he's fully rehabilitated, so he'll be fine 100%. It won't give him any more issues. No, I mean, it's clearly like it's ongoing, and it's gonna have an impact on his gameplay for a while. But does that really fully impact this offense to the point where they're scoring 3 points against this Tennessee Titans defense? I don't know. We'll just keep looking at that, because that to me doesn't make any sense. All right, we're on to the afternoon slate. We're gonna go fairly quick here. I got stuff to do. I didn't expect to get cut off earlier, but it's all right. So we'll go quickly here with the 49ers. Cardinals. Cardinals didn't play all that bad. They just have to go up against Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. I feel bad for anybody that does, because that man is on a tear, and even the commentators were like, can this man win MVP? Can a running back win MVP again? I mean, maybe. Last person to do it, Adrian Peterson. So, and Jonathan Taylor almost did it a couple years ago. So it's not like we're away from that idea. Running backs can't win MVPs anymore. It's a quarterback award. No. If Christian McCaffrey plays good enough, I don't think there's truly any QB that's playing out of this world to where they can be like, no. The quarterback has to win. And I get it. Quarterback is the most valuable position in the league. That's without debate, right? So I get that. And we had a whole debate on the page. It was like, should they make it another award then? If QB, if it really is the most valuable position and it's undebatable or non-debatable, then why don't we have a QB, like best QB in the league award, or I don't know, like something, so it's like, okay, the QBs have this award, and then this goes to all the non-QB players. It's to that point, because it's like, and then someone tried to argue offensive player, but I'd argue one of the best non-QB players in the league isn't even on offense. So I get that. You can say, oh, well, they have offensive player and defensive player. Yeah, but there should be an award that celebrates the best player in the league. And it's going to be like, well, and a QB could win that, right? We could say a QB could win that. But that the most valuable player is like, it's become more than just the best player in the league. It's value. It has to actually do with the word value. And more than just stats, it comes down to just their impact and like how they influence a team's success. And unfortunately, it feels impossible for a running back to win that MVP award. So we'll see. We'll see if Christian McCaffrey continues what he's doing, and maybe he could be the first running back to win since AP. But yeah, I mean, that's like clearly the like main takeaway from that game is he just ran all over the Cardinals defense, which, to be fair, it's what a lot of teams should have been able to do, but Cowboys just didn't want to run, especially in the red zone, and so they took a bullet for it, and they couldn't score in the red zone like 5 times because they couldn't get their run game going against the Cardinals, which 49ers said, hey, it's this easy. Just have Christian McCaffrey on your team. The next game, which I just dogged on the Cowboys, but they bounced back here against the Patriots, and in one of Bill Belichick's worst games I think he's ever coached. And to be fair, it makes sense that it's Tom Brady is not playing QB when that occurs. Mac Jones had a pretty decent first drive, but then after that, it just nothing came from it. Again, they're struggling to get that run game going, and no one's stepping up in the passing game. So, and that might just be Mac Jones. But, I mean, there's still a lot of people, I mean, even me, still feeling like Mac Jones still has it in him, especially with that rookie year. But it was weird. All those quarterbacks did pretty decent their rookie year other than, like, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Justin Fields' rookie year he padded his stats even if they weren't winning games. He padded his stats, right? So, I mean, not padded his stats. Like, he was having, like, explosive plays when he came in for Andy Dalton that year, 2021, right? And all those quarterbacks from that draft class had a decent first year. Davis Mills, Zach Wilson, not Trevor Lawrence, but Trevor Lawrence then took a step forward where it seemed like all these guys all took step back, and Davis Mills fell out of his respective position. Trey Lance didn't even get really much opportunities because he wasn't playing all that good in camp, practice, whatever. Mac Jones took a step back. Zach Wilson clearly took a step back. It was really bad to the point where they had to go get Aaron Rodgers. It's just like that 2021 class was turning out to be like, okay, they're all making impact. Rookie year, this could be good. And now nobody's really doing much other than, I guess, Trevor Lawrence, who's also like off and on right now. And like even like we said, even earlier in this podcast, that week 4, it wasn't like he played an amazing game either. I mean, the first game was looking nice. It was like looking like flowing, but other than that, it hasn't been strong for Trevor Lawrence. He hasn't had the game that I know he wants to have. But other than that, like that class is just so rough. Whereas 2020 class has been balling. You have Herbert, Burrow, Tua, Jordan Love's been playing. I mean, it's not like Jordan Love's playing insane, but for his first couple starts, he's playing as good as, in my opinion, Mac Jones he was playing better than Mac Jones was playing rookie year, and Mac Jones took him to the playoffs. So I mean, we'll see how good Jordan Love does. But this draft, one of the best QB draft classes. I'm probably missing a name too. One of the best QB draft classes, and then we thought 2021 would be better, and it's not. We'll have to see 2022 how they end 2023 here. CJ Stroud looking like the best 2023 QB out of that draft class, whereas 2022, one of the roughest draft classes it's looking like. And it makes sense that a lot of teams did not want to take any of those guys in the first round when everybody had them taking Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, somebody else I'm missing. But, of course, they took the only QB to go in the first round was Kenny Pickett in the first round. And none of those 2021 QBs have done much, or 2022 QBs have done much, except for Brock Purdy, who was drafted the literal last pick of the draft. And it is crazy to me how these QB classes have been turning out, right? So don't be surprised when CJ Stroud is literally out of the league in 4 years, or he's the GOAT. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really that crazy right now. Hopefully he's not out of the league, because I'm sick and tired of Ohio State quarterbacks just getting out of the league after 3 or 4 years. I'm sick and tired of it. As an Ohio State fan, I want one good quarterback to come out. I mean, I can't tell you the last time we had a good quarterback. I don't know if we have had one. So, and that's, like, sad. But anyway, Patriots struggled heavily in this game. And Cowboys bounced back to where they should have been, and should have been playing against Cardinals when I bet them in my Survivor poll. But that's besides the point. Last game, and let me pull it up here. Chargers and Raiders. Chargers just did what they should have done to that Raiders defense, and it was nice to watch. It was very nice to watch. They just had their way with that defense. And I just saw something funny about the Jerry Tillery thing. Ugh. If you don't know, Jerry Tillery was on the Chargers for 4 years, didn't do crap for them, and let's just say the fans, the players, none of them liked it. Even I saw Justin Herbert dog on him in a podcast. Like, oh my gosh! And then he gets ejected for pushing Justin Herbert or late hit out of bounds when he's already going out of bounds, and he gets ejected. And it's funny as it's just like. It's kind of well deserved because as soon as he did that, the whole Chargers bench was on him immediately, as they should be, protecting Justin and Herbert, because that's just ridiculous. If you're taking out, and like, I get it's a rivalry game, and I'm pretty sure a lot of Chargers are probably already talking some crap against him because why wouldn't they? But he probably let the emotions get the best of him because it looked like he was pissed whenever he went to go tackle Justin Herbert. But that was kind of like one of the big takeaways from that game. It was just like the Raiders' defense was just so rough to the point where they were in their own heads, and Jerry Tillery clearly showed that when he pushed Justin Herbert out of bounds. But other than that, I mean, again, the battle of the crappy coaches, am I right? Chargers somehow only win by a possession when Aiden O'Connell was Aiden O'Connell, he has some good things. He's showing some good things. First Raiders quarterback to getting a running touchdown in a while, apparently. They just haven't had something like that. So and I get it, it was literally just a 1 yard touchdown. Like, it wasn't anything serious. But if they can get someone like Aiden O'Connell, if like they can get someone that can run the ball, it opens up so much for that offense. And we keep talking about it. It's like, why does Raiders offense not work out? Their head coach is an offensive coordinator who's shown he can run good offenses. Why all of a sudden? Why? And then you have Josh Jacobs, can't even get the run game going, which is irritating me. Devontae Adams, I mean, he's had his games already, and that makes sense. But you have guys like, oh shoot, my brain. Why does this always happen? 16 on the Raiders. Ugh. I mean, Hunter Renfrow hasn't even existed there. Let me my brain is like not working right now. Raiders. It's gonna irritate. I mean, he was from the Patriots. I know that. He was from the Patriots. Bro. Why can't I think of him right now? It's gonna irritate me. Why, bro? Why can't I think of his name? It's just like sometimes I just forget things so easily. Let me just look up the depth chart real quick. Anyways, while I'm doing this crap, yeah, I mean, the Chargers defense played a little bit better than they're used to, and again, since it's a divisional opponent, maybe they have them more figured out. Jacoby Myers, holy crap, why did I forget that name? I knew who I was talking about. The problem is sometimes I just forget easy names. Like, I could forget the easiest of names, and it just doesn't make sense, or of words. I just don't understand it. But anyways, Jacoby Myers, they got to get him going, man. I mean, he has it. He literally has it. He was kind of limited in New England, even when Josh McDaniels was there. But he's still limited here, and I just think that Josh McDaniels am I saying his name right? Yes. Holy crap. See, I'm already in my own head. See, I'm like the Raiders defense. I'm in my own head. Josh McDaniels is still limiting Jacoby Myers here, and that's kind of what's irritating me. Like, come on, get him open up, and he will ball. Because he's shown it. He's shown it multiple times. He can do it. It's just the problem of being in the right offense, I feel like, for him. I feel like he's just getting limited, and I feel like he's an underrated player. Time will tell if he can actually take a step up, get to the next level. It will
probably be based on where he's at, to where I feel like if he was in the 49ers offense or the Dolphins offense, he would be cooking. But last game, we got the Sunday night game. What a shocker, by the way. Who would have thought it would have went down to literally Patrick Mahomes sliding before the end zone? Like, no one would have thought that's how that game ends. Like, at all. How do you let Zach Wilson have one of the best games of his career, outplaying Patrick Mahomes? No one has ever outplayed Patrick Mahomes. Snap, touchdown passes, no interceptions, no reception. All those stats in Zach's favor against Patrick Wilson or Patrick Mahomes, and yet you let the Jets defense destroy you. What are you? Or not letting the Jets defense. The Jets defense doesn't play good enough, and you don't win that game. What are you doing? I just don't understand that concept. They have to win that game. They have to. And now that they lose that game, that's gonna take them away from. I know they probably don't want to go to the playoffs, right? Because they want that tackle in the first round. That's what's gonna happen. So if Aaron Rodgers does come back, which who knows if that even is a thing, because they stopped talking about that. They don't. A lot of people say he'll come back because it's Aaron Rodgers, but at the same time, it's Achilles at that age is not favorable. That happening is rough, and I know it's Aaron Rodgers. He is a resilient player, and he'll come back, but we'll have to see actually if he can do that. But if he's coming back, they're gonna need an offensive line for him. That's for sure. I mean, they literally let him tore his Achilles right away. It's not funny, but it does suck because it's like we lost out on so much that could have happened, and after all that hype during the off season, it's like, really? It's like seeing a trailer for a movie and then buying the tickets, and then you are literally in the movie theater and the ads are playing before the movie, and then right as they start the introduction, boom, the power goes off and they say, you guys have to go home. You can still come to another movie, but let's just say it's not going to be as good because the power kind of screwed up our graphics, and now all that's screwed up. So the movie's not going to be as good. The sound's not going to be as good. Sorry, you're going to have to wait till next year. So this week was weird, as we said earlier. It was kind of an anomaly, kind of like week one, but not fully like week one, where it was like, a lot of these teams should be playing way better. It was kind of like more like, okay, yeah, a lot of these teams are playing how we're used to, but the games were just not going like how we're used to. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like a weird, like some of these games went weird directions where you're like, really? These teams should be neck and neck fighting each other, and then also these teams should be decimating these other teams. They're just not. And then we have the Bengals and the Steelers, who make no sense. All right. Well, I'm going to have to call it because I have to go get food. But I appreciate you guys for listening. Thank you for listening to the NFL Trades podcast. I'll be trying to do these at least once a week. And I know I did this like the third one this week, but I'll be trying to do these at least once or twice a week. Just got a lot of work done in this last semester here at Teal College. Hopefully I can, like I said, once I'm out of college, have more time on my hands. I do have a job right now, so we'll see where that takes me, but we'll have to see. So thank you again for listening, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.